Although I am a film addict and indeed a Harry Potter fan, very big Harry Potter fan, I'm not the most knowledgeable about music. So when it comes to me looking at certain things for films, I prefer a narrative that's really juicy, and then second, I want some decent editing, and then third, maybe even fourth, after a few more things, the soundtrack is important to me. And that's not necessarily the case with Harry Potter, so I want to spend some more time exploring some film soundtracks and trying to grow my knowledge of film composers and some of the more popular film soundtracks and maybe some hidden gems. And I thought Harry Potter would be a pretty good place to start because I'm actually very aware of this soundtrack. I absolutely love it. And fun fact, it was recorded 4 minutes from my house. I didn't live here at the time, I have to point that out. But it was recorded up the hill at Air Studios, which is pretty exciting. So I thought, because I can't do an analytical discussion about this because my knowledge of music is not that great. But I wanted to talk about just certain songs that I particularly liked, ones that stood out for me, ones that I thought were maybe not as strong. Now I say not as strong, this was composed and conducted by John Williams. We are getting the quality we would expect. But some tracks are stronger than others. If you have a favourite music, my goodness, you can you can already tell this is not going to be the most educational discussion ever. If you have a favourite song from Harry Potter or a favourite scene with accompaniment, please let me know. I'd be really interested to kind of hear what your views are, and particularly if you have any kind of background in music as well, because I imagine your opinion will differ quite greatly to mine. So these are in order of track appearance, but I'm not going to go through every single one because there are some where I just don't have an opinion. It's fine, it's nice, don't really feel strongly about them either way. But the prologue is obviously magical, and when I hear it, I picture the opening scenes to the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone PlayStation game. I'm pretty sure that plays over that, as it should. It's very magical, very indicative of the charm to come, and I like that this is echoed and even amplified in Harry's Wondrous world. It's quite soothing, it's very positive. We're definitely off to quite a bright, sunshiny start. Then things obviously get a little bit gloomy with the film. I should point out as well, this will probably spoil aspects of the film if you haven't seen it, but I'm going to assume you have. None of the music surrounding the Dursleys' house and, the visit to the zoo, none of that music kind of spoke to me, and I don't know if it's because they're in the Muggle world, it's not as magical, so the music doesn't really reflect that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with it just didn't speak to me. But then we get to Diagon Alley and we get this beautiful song that's so light and airy. I don't know if somebody's playing a piccolo, but it sounds like it's played on a piccolo, and it's beautiful. And as soon as you hear that, you're just in Diagon Alley. Really bright, shiny magic that I love. Mr. Longbottom Flies is a weird one because the song itself is quite powerful, very memorable. If you played this tune to me, I'd instantly go, yes, that is from Harry Potter. But it's such a memorable song, but it's during a scene that I consider to be, although a great scene, where obviously it's during the first Quidditch training, it's not the most interesting of scenes or the most memorable moment. Very memorable, but I'm sure you know what I mean. It's not like a pivotal plot point compared to, say, when we first enter the Great Hall or when we first enter Diagon Alley. It's not a moment that made you go, wow. Whereas this music does make you go, wow. And I feel like it's almost too good for that scene. I feel like they could have used that elsewhere. Either way, the song itself is good. The Quidditch Match song is not one that I care for. I don't mind it, but it doesn't stick in my head. But when I watch it on screen, I feel like it blends perfectly with the action on screen. It's one of those ones where everything just seems to fit right at the exact moment, and this pocket of music goes perfectly with this character's action. And if somebody hits if somebody catches the golden snake drawer. As near to catching it, the music kind of draws you in and flings you back just as they miss it. And I think it works really well. I just, on its own, it's not as great. Christmas at Hogwarts is actually not as magical. The intro, the first maybe 4 bars of this, maybe 8 bars, I wasn't really counting. But the opening to this is really magical and really festive, and it just tinkles into my heart, and I love it. Then it kind of loses its magic as it progresses, but whenever I hear that, I feel like it's Christmas, because obviously Philosopher's Stone is on TV pretty much every Christmas, and that scene, this is not a Christmas film, it's not a film I would watch every Christmas, but that scene kind of makes me want to watch it at Christmas, and that music certainly helps that. But then we leave that behind, that magic merriment, and we turn to Invisibility Cloak, which is the first time the music begins to sound quite dark and eerie and haunting. And we do get this kind of spooky feel with Invisibility Cloak that reflects the darker and more dangerous parts of the castle, definitely suggesting a shift in tone as things are about to get a bit more serious. Fluffy's harp is an interesting one because it is the first time, I think, although maybe not with Hagrid, but it's one of the first times where music is integrated into the actual narrative. And obviously the harp plays a pivotal role in this. To have that with the music makes it quite interesting. Not really a fan of the piece itself, but I do like the scene a lot. And the last one is actually a few tracks after Fluffy's harp, and I feel like all of the music towards the end is just meh. It's alright, it's good. The scenes with Voldemort and Wizard Chess and the flying keys, they're all decent, it's all decent music, but nothing that really stuck in my heart. But then we end with Hedwig's theme, and it's just amazing. I can't listen to Hedwig's theme without just getting excited and over emotional, and I think that's the same for pretty much every Harry Potter fan. If you go to the studio tour or you go into one of the Harry Potter shops, that's pretty much always playing, and you just feel transported, and it's wonderful. It's really beautiful, and I can't fault it. So certainly for me, Philosopher's Stone has the most noteworthy soundtrack from Harry Potter, although Azkaban, I do like Azkaban. I will talk about those in due course. If you have a favourite song from Philosopher's Stone, do let me know. If I had to pick a favourite, it would definitely be Hedwig's theme, or I guess more specifically, maybe Diagon Alley. I think I do really like that. Ultimately, definitely not a bad soundtrack.